Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first ever edition of New Mexico Sports Chat. I know I get on here and I talk about the Eagles a lot, but today is a little different video. This video will talk about coaches who are on the hot seat in the NFL. Um, and at this midway point of the season, I'm beginning to see a lot of them on here. Um, Tell me who's your favorite down in the comments. Again, hit like and subscribe if you like this video. So we can head out west and talk about different folks out there. I think a lot of what's going on is going to be um, a lot of wholesale change this off season. Starting with the NFC West, I'm looking at Jonathan Gannon kind of being on the hot seat, if not at the end of this year, definitely next year. The Kyler Murray experiment does not look like it's working out. They paid him a lot of money and he keeps getting hurt. So I see that going south pretty quickly. Um, Also in the West, I don't see any other change. Seattle's looking good right now under um,
Progress.
they're looking really good under Mike McDonald. Who thought he would be doing this well this early on, especially with Sam Darnold at quarterback, but we'll have to wait and see how the playoffs go. I know right now they're tied with the Eagles at 7-2 for the best record in the NFC. The NFC Central, that looks pretty much rock solid. I'm not a big fan of Kevin O'Connell. Everybody's talking about him being like one of the best coaches in the NFL. Um, Excuse me, I think I got his name wrong. Yeah, it is Kevin O'Connell. But for some reason, the Vikings to me have been underachieving. Some of it has been quarterback play. I think they made a mistake by letting Darnold go. Not that I really see him on the hot seat, but I can see his seat starting to warm up if the Vikings and his best coaching staff in the NFL, according to NFL GMs, don't start making some progress there. NFC South is a mess. Raheem Morris at Atlanta, I could see him maybe one more year after this year, but I definitely believe his seat's getting a little bit warmer. Um, Tampa Bay, DaBoll seems to always underachieve. I'm waiting for Tampa Bay's management to get a little bit upset with him, but I think he's pretty safe as long as he stays there. And Baker Mayfield keeps playing well. No real change there. You know, Kellen Moore with New Orleans, they seem to be making a little bit of progress. Still a very bad team. I think the David Carr thing and their salary cap just sort of strapped them, so they got a long way to go to get better. I don't see his seat getting hot anytime soon. But let's move on to the NFC East. We know the Giants just got rid of DaBoll. I have heard some really bizarre rumors, such as the Giants were willing to trade multiple draft picks for Mike Tomlin. Um, I don't know. That seems to be kind of stupid to me. One of the best solutions I've heard for the Giants has been Mike McCarthy. He has a great record, compared to people that we say are Hall of Famers like Tomlin, like John Harbaugh. He has a winning record. He's been to the playoffs. He's won a Super Bowl. Yet nobody seems really excited about him, and I think it's because he's very low key. He's not controversial. Personality wise, he doesn't jump out there and just shock you like some other folks do. But I could see him being a real candidate for the New York job. I would love to see Kafka get it. Been a big fan of his since he was with the Eagles. I actually kind of watched him a couple of times when he was at Northwestern. Really liked him as a quarterback. Smart kid. If you go to Northwestern, especially back pre NIL days, when you had to meet their admission standards. So, I think Kafka's a smart guy. I think he could go a long way to improving the Giants, but he gets this audition. Although it's a shorthanded audition, he doesn't have Scatabo, he doesn't have neighbors. It's a really tight thing there. Um, Other NFC East teams, um, I really see Schottenheimer. He'll get another couple years in Dallas. They seem to be up and down. They improve that defense. They could be a little bit of trouble. Be interesting to see how they play coming out of the bye week and with the improvements they made on defense to go with that offense. So I could see them making some strides the second half of the season. The rest of the NFC East is probably pretty solid. Dan Quinn is probably okay with the Commanders. Everybody's going to realize Jaden Daniels has been hurt. Commanders kind of went all in with some older veterans to try to get to a Super Bowl to get over that hump, but it seems like it's cost them a little bit. Uh, the one thing I don't understand is why you draft these young quarterbacks. You give them great receivers, running backs, but you don't give them anybody to protect them. So offensive line play has been shaky for them. Offensive line play has been shaky for the Giants. So I think they need to really go out and improve their offensive line if these teams are going to get better. But the rest of the NFC, I don't really see too many spots opening up. AFC, on the other hand, we all know about the debacle that is the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel down there, lacks of discipline, things like that, all the stuff that you hear. Vic Fangio was too old to coach in the NFL, too old to relate to the young players. He goes to Philly with a bunch of rookies, bunch of second year guys, and they have one of the top defenses in the NFL. And with some of the changes they've made recently, it looks like that defense is going to be kind of barking really loud at the end of this season, too. So what's going on in Miami, it's just a mess right now, and I think somebody's just going to have to go in there and clean house. I don't see McDaniel surviving the season, which is kind of what most people have said. On the other hand, who else is out there in the East? Aaron Glenn's got enough firepower to get the Jets kind of turned around. New England took a big jump with Vrabel, that we didn't see coming. I could really see McDermott with the Bills being on a little bit of his seat getting warm. How many AFC East championships can you win and not make a Super Bowl? How many times can you lose to the Chiefs in the playoffs, especially a team that you usually dominate during the regular season? Um, he is an Andy Reid protege, so who knows how long he'll be around. But I think that as long as Buffalo keeps winning, he'll be there. As long as Josh Allen's still winning, he'll be there. But I could definitely see his seat getting a little bit warmer as time goes by, especially if they continue to um, not play very well in the playoffs or if they don't finally get over that hump to the Super Bowl. But the way their defense looked against the Dolphins, I don't see that happening this year. If they end up, as a wild card team, I could see a little bit of fire coming down on McDermott's neck and heating up his seat just a little bit there as well. The AFC South, Liam Cohen has made some strides with the Jags. He's a new coach, but they are way up and down. They need to improve basically in all phases of the offense. He's got to get his offense running a little bit more consistently, or in 3 years, his butt will be hot too, on one of the hot seats in the NFL. But right as of right now, he's probably pretty safe. Other teams in the South, Colts, Steichen finally got what he needed, in Indianapolis. He got himself a quarterback who's playing pretty well, even if it is Daniel Jones. He did some wonderful things in Philly when he was the OC there with Jalen Hurts. So who knows, what's going to happen there. But I think he's pretty safe. People saw him being on the hot seat coming into this season, but that I think is going to go away. The Titans, Mike McCoy there is the interim right now. I think he's got a few. Um, he's doing an audition for his position, but he's definitely going to be on the hot seat. He was part of the last regime, so who knows if they're going to keep him around. Um, but you know, I think he's gone at the end of the season. Who else is around there? That division just makes me tired sometimes to think about them. Uh, Houston Texans, D'Amico Ryans. I don't think he's on the hot seat soon. Person I see that's on the hot seat with the Texans is probably Stroud. at quarterback. He's been inconsistent. It's like I said a few years ago, and to people, I don't see these quarterbacks. You can't tell me they're great until they've been around the NFL 3, 4, 5 years. Granted, Jordan Love, really, this is about his second, third year. Um, but he's inconsistent. We saw that last night, and we're starting to see the same thing in a CJ Stroud. He can't overcome the deficiencies of his offense. He plays poorly. His decision making is poorly at times. And so to keep D'Amico Ryans off the hot seat, CJ Stroud's going to have to play better, at least during the second half of the season, although that Texans defense is out of this world. So they should be winning games just with their defense. And if that doesn't happen, I'm not sure where they're going to go from there. But I can see his seat getting a little bit warmer as the season goes on because he just can't seem to make that deep run into the playoffs, much past the wild card round. So that's kind of where the Texans are. Um, so let's move to the AFC West. Raiders stink. Not what was expected under Pete Carroll. I'm not ready to say Pete's on the hot seat yet, but I think Mark Davis and Tom Brady expected more out of him coming into the season. The Chargers are just banged up. I think they'd be a really good team right now if they weren't so banged up. The Chiefs are starting to warm up a little bit, but then they were run over by Buffalo, and then Buffalo gets steamrolled by Miami. So who can figure out the NFL? There is a possible. I always hate it when they say, "Oh, if the season ended today, so and so would be in, so and so would be out of the playoffs." Right now the Chiefs would be out of the playoffs at 5-4, but I can see them making a run during the second half of the season, and they could very easily be 13-4 by the end, or 13-5, whatever the record is, by the end of the season. So I could see them getting things turned around. Their defense has played well. The offense is starting to click a little bit, but then the defense looked below average against Buffalo. Um, so they're missing pieces. The Chiefs are missing pieces on their offensive line. It looks like the Eagles wrote the script for how to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. 4-man pressure, play 7 back, um, get Mahomes to move off his spot, and you can pretty much cool him down during a game. And I know the Broncos lead the AFC West right now, but that's still something that I don't see lasting. Even if they win the AFC West, I don't see them going far in the playoffs. I mean, do they have a Super Bowl caliber defense? Yes, they do, just like the Texans. Bo Nix is still young, still learning the game, still making mistakes. They got to win the other night against the Raiders and were booed during the game. So I think that things aren't quite as rosy for them just yet. So there's still going to be some struggles there, but I see them finally coming around a little bit down the stretch. But really, I don't see the Broncos as a Super Bowl contender coming out of the AFC. I really don't. It's hard to say who is. Right now, I'm giving my best bet to the Patriots because they look like they are the best coached team in the AFC. So as far as predictions, we like I said, we have some coaches that are on the hot seat. McDaniel's or yeah, Mike McDaniel, Kevin O'Connell. Um, oh, I didn't do the AFC North. North. Some people are still saying Tomlin. I heard rumors, Giants making a trade for Tomlin, offering up a bunch of picks. Not really going to happen, I don't think. Um, Stefanski, I see him being gone in Cleveland this year. I see Cleveland going after a quarterback in the draft. And I think some of that's going to be pressure from Myles Garrett. Um, Ravens are pretty safe. John Harbaugh's not going anywhere. He's got that boat fixed since Lamar Jackson's gotten back. Um, and then down in Cincinnati, Zach Taylor, I'm surprised he's still around. He's still hanging in there. The Bengals got some fight in them. I will say that. But if it wasn't for their defense, they would have a couple more wins this season. Um, Flacco being hurt, I don't see them, I think he's still going to play, but, he's banged up. He's in his 40s. I know when I was in my 40s, I probably could have been a little banged up, but not as course, not NFL shape, but the body doesn't recover quite as well as it used to. So, I think Flacco's gonna probably try to keep that boat afloat a little bit longer, and that may be what saves Zach's job. Um, but really, I think that the Bengals need to make a change there. Stefanski will be gone in Cleveland, so the whole state of Ohio will be cleaned out. Um, so I'm seeing, I think, as I've said here, about 7 or 8 seats. I've also seen a few things here where, there's some coaches that maybe not this year, next year, definitely going to find themselves on the hot seat if they don't get things fixed. So you all take it easy. Have a great week. And we'll see you again here on the Mexico Sports Chat. Have a good day.